Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to our van build. I'd just like to bring you up to date on our floor construction. As you can see, we've laid a floor and we've pretty much got it finished and all taped down. There's just a couple of little bits of work to do, and then I'm going to be moving on to paneling the sides with Kingspan, well, Rectasill. We're using Rectasill, which is pretty much the same thing. I'd like to explain what we've done with the floor. We've used 50mm by 22mm treated wood battening to lay the floor. The battening is 50mm tall because we wanted to use 50mm insulation. We want a lot of insulation in the van because we're going to be living in it in cold temperatures, and having done that for a few years, we know well that insulation is very important. As you can see, pretty much where the tape seams are is where I put the battens. Over there we're going to have the table and stove, here the toilet, down here the wardrobe, and on this side the kitchen. I'll be doing a video about the layout of the van at some other time. Through the middle of the floor we've got a channel. Basically what I did is I cut out the insulation down to about 25mm, and I'm laying in a plastic conduit. This plastic conduit is going to come down to about here, and the plastic conduit is going to continue across the van from side to side. The plastic conduit is designed to hold the electrical wires from the front of the van, from the passenger seats over there, which is where I'm going to have my leisure batteries, my 240-volt mains charger, and my battery to battery converter. The main cab battery is in front of the passenger seats, so it makes the connection quite easy to the leisure batteries. As a result, this conduit is going to be carrying a 12-volt DC cable to my electronics box, which is going to be around about here. Now, the cable itself is rated at 230 amps, but I'm limiting the flow to 50 amps from the main battery system. It will be fused at the battery, fused at the electronics box just here. So a 230 amp cable is going to move through that conduit to the front. Also moving through the conduit will be the 240 volt mains cable from the mains input at the back of the van, the consumer unit, through to the battery charger at the front of the van. The mains cable will also pass through that conduit and is a rated Blue Arctic mains cable for the charger. Another wire running through the conduit will be for the battery monitoring system, which is a low voltage DC cable, and also a cable for the alarm system will be running through that conduit as well. From side to side, the conduit will be carrying mains cables from the electronics unit to the services I require on the left hand side of the van. 12-volt DC cables for things like the pump, the television, water tank sensors, things like that. Along here next to them will be the two water cables for hot and cold water. The Truma hot water heater is going to be here by the wheel arch, and on this side I'm going to have an internal water tank, and on this wall mounted the water pumps, expansion tanks, water filtration system. We've got a 5-stage reverse osmosis water containment system going on the wall just here, and also a rainwater collection carbon filtration system mounted on the wall just there. A space just here for our small 3-kilo washing machine, and the gas cylinder here, and electrical inputs here. Above them, slide out drawers which are going to slide out the back of the van for things like tools, workspace, carrying all our equipment, etc., etc. Let me just give you a little bit of a warning about that aluminium foil. The foil on the edge of the insulation here, you might think it's safe, but watch out there, because you get cut on that quite easily. It's very sharp. I've cut myself a couple of times on my hands, which made working on the van quite difficult. It's quite sharp stuff, so please be careful. The main large side panels of the van are going to be lined with 50mm insulation. This stuff, Kingspan, or in this case Rectisil, available for £32 from B&Q for an 8x4 sheet, so it's not that expensive. Large panels of 50mm insulation are going to be placed here on the side areas, so that's 3 on this side and 2 on this side. I've got those panels cut out ready to actually fix in, and that will be the subject of another video. The lower panels are going to be filled with rock wool. And the reason I'm using rock wool is because it's fireproof. That's the first thing. If any welding ever needs doing around those sill areas there, it's a good idea to have fireproof insulation. It's also quite inexpensive. It's a very good insulator. I'm going to be bagging the rock wool in mylar sheet and sealing it up, gluing it up, and that's going to prevent any moisture getting in there. There's not any moisture that's going to get in anyway, but just to be doubly sure. The upper areas here are also going to be filled with rock wool, again bagged with mylar. Fill out these big spaces. Far too difficult to get the insulation board in there, so rock wool is probably the best insulation I can use. I did consider plastic recycled insulation, but no, I'm going to be going for rock wool, I've decided. And the same, of course, on this side of the van. Okay, well, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a time-lapse video on for a little while, showing you how I constructed the floor batten base and laid all the insulation. As I mentioned, the floor battens are treated wood, 50mm by 22. They're screwed down to the metal work of the van using self-drilling screws, and also glued down to the van metal also. So pretty sturdy, should hold up to almost anything.
The sky wanting red across the wide horizon. I wonder what's waiting up ahead. What's waiting up ahead? I'll keep going, my feet on the ground. Wheels keep turning till the sun goes down. Another radio station, a language I don't understand. A brand new destination, my heart is in my hands. The golden sky is changing, the light begins to fade.